First off, one of the writer of Sorority Row, the 2009 slasher classic, Josh
Stolberg. That's right. Give it up, folks. Give it up. Next, we got coming up on here is the writer of the original screenplay, Seven Sisters, and the director of House on Sorority Row, the original film that the 2009 Sorority Row is based on. And that person is Mark Rosman. Yeah, now we're talking. This next one, very, very special guest. She was in the original House on Sorority Row. You guys know who she is. Many of you are here for her. Her name is Eileen Davidson. The queen of the soaps. We got some royalty here today, folks. Give it up. All right, next we got one of the producers of the film. His name is Mike Karz. The producers make it all possible, ladies and gentlemen. Give it up. Give it up for Mike Karz. All right, next we have the one, the only director of the 2009 classic Sorority Row, Stewart Hendler. Beautiful direction on that film. I loved all the close-ups. The lighting was beautiful. Reason why it's a classic. And last but not least, we have our host for the panel today. The very lovely, the very talented Stephanie Hayden.
Thank you. Thank you. How lucky are we to have all of you on stage today? Give them one more round of applause. Now, in order for us to really appreciate Sorority Row, we do have to go back in time all the way to the 80s and really talk about your first film and how it came to be, House on Sorority Row. Can you walk us through how it came to be?
Hello. It's great to be here. Thank you for inviting me. Yeah, it was a long time ago. In college, I was in a fraternity. I was into horror and suspense movies, and I decided, write what you know. And so I wrote this and raised the money independently, and we shot it in Pikesville, Maryland. I'm sure there's a lot of you from Pikesville, Maryland here. And in a house, and it was starring this amazing actress right here, Eileen. And where did we cast you? In LA, probably.
Yeah, am I live?
Yeah.
Yeah, wasn't it at a house? Didn't you read?
Yeah, probably my house. Yeah, you never invite actors to audition in a house. That's like breaking every SAG rule, but we weren't in SAG, so.
Yeah, that's right. I do remember that I read for both the lead roles. I read for the good girl and the bad girl. And you were considering me for both and thought I would fit the bad girl better, so hey. And that was such a fun role to play, so.
And you ran with it. Sorry we took over there.
Please do. Please do. So when did you receive the call that this was going to be remade?
Oh, that was a funny story, Mike. Yeah, so Mike called me and he said, we're remaking your movie. And I go, great. And, I wasn't at that time making horror films. I was doing things like A Cinderella Story. And thank you. And Mike said, maybe he could get me on the DVD, do like the commentary. And I said, sure, great, good luck. Then he calls me a few weeks later and he says, we're trying to get a clean chain of title. If you know what that is legally, you got to get permission from all the people. And he asked if I had that. And I said, I don't know, I'll look around. Well, he kept calling week after week saying, Mark, we're getting really close and the bank isn't going to loan the studio the money to make the movie unless you find it. So I found it, and God bless my original attorney. It turned out I owned the rights to the remake. They didn't think I did. I didn't even think I did. It's kind of unusual that it happens, but my attorney was great way back when. And so suddenly, I then became like an executive producer. I didn't do anything, but I said hello to Stewart, and then I visited the set. But it was so fun, and also to have the name of the university named after me, and to have extras running around with sweatshirts. This is on the campus, the so-called campus, with the name Rosman on the back. And so I got one of those for my daughter, so she was running around in that. So I had a great time. And thank you for having me, Stewart. Thank you for having me. So that's how that happened.
I love that it ends up being like the holy grail of like lifting up the box and finding I have the idol.
Yes.
There's with horror films and films in general, that sometimes there's a lot of fighting with the studios for both Sorority Row and House on Sorority Row. Were you ever coming up creatively and they wouldn't let you do something, or were they forcing you to do anything you didn't want to do?
Well, I was the studio on mine, so I'll turn that one over to Stewart.
Fighting with the studio. No, we had a really good relationship with the studio. We were Summit, and they were champions of the movie from the very beginning. It was a great script. I read the script and I was like, it's Mean Girls meets Scream, and I'm in. And that's the movie they wanted to make too. Josh, do you remember anything? I don't remember any. I remember they got really particular about wardrobe, like a lot of executives weighing in on girls' pumps. I don't know why. But
Yeah, there was a lot of talk about what the girls were wearing at the time, but no, I mean, one of the nice things is when you have a producer like Mike Karz. Mike Karz, I've worked with Mike Karz more than any other producer in Hollywood. He's absolutely amazing. He's done a ton of these big, gigantic ensemble films like Valentine's Day and New Year's Eve, and all of those films that has everybody, like every actor you've ever seen in a film, were all in like some of his ensemble movies. And the reason I think he's able to get so many people is because he's such a filmmaker's producer. And I think that he protected you on the set and let you make the movie you wanted to make, which was great.
yeah, no, that one's super lucky. I've made movies where it did not go so well. So thank you, Mike Karz.
Thank you, Josh. But of course, it starts with a great team that we had of Stewart and Josh, so it made my job a lot easier. But the most interesting studio part of this conversation was the script that we originally developed that Josh and his partner P wrote was actually PG-13 because of the time in the early 2000s, the PG-13 horror movies the ticket sales were 70% teen females, 30% male. As you got up to the R-rated movies, it changed, but the audience for these types of movies were generally teen girls. So Josh and Pete wrote this, and it's aspirational. If you're in high school, you're kind of aspiring to be in college. So we knew we were onto something. So the script we sold actually was a PG-13 movie, and we were prepping that movie. And we were well on our way. And then 3 weeks before we started shooting, the studio Summit asked us if we could make it R, because they had studied data that when you released a unrated DVD from an R-rated movie, it sold really, really well. But unrated DVDs from PG-13 movies didn't sell as well. So they asked us if we could do that, and we tried and did our best. But really, I think the movie would have been better served had we stayed at PG-13, given its themes and the great cast and everything. So. But while we were making it, we had great support from Summit, and they really loved it. They had just done Twilight, so they were in that whole success. They were riding that level of success, so they were really supportive. And the gentleman running it, Eric Feig, was a great executive and a big champion of it. So we had a great experience making it.
I did see a hat over there.
Oh yeah. Well, Stewart, why don't you, Stewart, bouncing off of this idea of taking a movie that was meant to be PG-13 and then making it into an R-rated movie, so that when we finished the first cut, one of the issues was for the studio was there were a couple of really graphic kills because we went in that direction, but they wanted it more R-rated. So why don't you?
We needed more boobs. We were deficient in
Sorely lacking on the
quota, and so we had to reshoot. We had to do a couple days, something like that. We had a boob shoot. Yeah. which is really uncomfortable for me because I'm a gay man and I don't really need to see any of that stuff. So I was like, Josh, how can you help me out?
And you jumped in.
Stewart, for the wrap gift, while we were shooting, every once in a while, he would say, just go take that camera over there and shoot some boobs. So part of his wrap gift to me was this hat, which was boob unit director. So yeah, I have never worn this hat in public ever because I'm too embarrassed and I think my wife would throw me out of the house. So this is the one time it'll ever be seen on my head, but I'll leave it on for a few minutes.
Can I add a little breast story?
Please, yes.
Gonna try to clean this up a little bit. So I had a couple, quasi whatever nude scenes in the movie, and Mark was so amazing because I was incredibly uncomfortable, and he actually told me to go ahead and leave my shirt on, which as an actress who is uncomfortable with that was an amazing thing because you don't hear that very often. It's usually take it off. So I just want to say thank you. It was a really stand-up thing to do for a young actor. I really appreciated it.
On that particular moment on the waterbed, you're so sexy and lovely, shirt on, shirt off. Like, that's such a cool scene. So thank you for doing that. Eileen, I have a question for you.
Uh-oh.
So you get to play in these very outlandish and surreal storylines throughout your career. How do you maintain that authenticity? Because I believe you, whether you're playing your own double or you're screening being chased by a killer. Right. How do you maintain that? And I surround.
I don't know. I can really kind of just immerse myself in the role. When I had that slapping scene with Kate McNeil, I was, again, a young actress. I told her to just go ahead and give it to me. I didn't realize it was going to be about 20 takes. And I literally was like seeing stars. So I tend to just go for it and then I'll pay for it later.
Go for it and pay for it later.
Yeah.
Love it. You have phenomenal cast in both films. I do want to know, how did you get Carrie Fisher? What was the process?
So Carrie read it, which was shocking in the first place. And basically from her team, it came back that she thought it was fun and funny, and she wanted to meet me, and basically, if she liked me, she'd do the movie. So it was like super high pressure. And so we set up this meeting. When she comes, obviously, she doesn't have to audition. She's Carrie Fisher. It was just a meet. She walks in the door, and I was like very starstruck and trying to be chill. And she's like, "Hi, I'm Carrie." And I'm like, "Hey, I'm Stewart." She's like, "Don't tell me, tell my assistant. I won't remember you tomorrow. I've had a lot of electroshock therapy." And I was like, cool. And then we ended up having a really great meeting. She was super sarcastic and sardonic and dry, and we just hit it off. Our sense of humor meshed really well. We laughed the whole time. And so the next day I sent her a framed photograph of myself and a Memory Tricks for Dummies book. And we were in.
That's all. Did she comment on that? That's great.
Yeah, she loved it.
I love it. That's awesome.
That's really sweet. She's amazing as the house mother. Josh, when it comes to like dialogue, was that a line that you wrote for her when she's like, "I'm not afraid of you. I live with 50 crazy bitches"? Is that a Josh original?
Yeah, I wrote the script with my writing partner, Pete Goldfinger, who I went to college with. And it sounds crazy, but this film, of all the films I've worked on in the 30 years career that I've had, from Piranha 3D and Jigsaw and Saw X and like all of these films, this film turned out closer to what I had wanted than any other film I'd ever worked on. And part of it was not part of it, most of it was what Stewart brought to it. But it's that kind of bitchy, sarcastic, just the girls just being mean girls completely to each other. And most of the really, really un-PC stuff Pete wrote, I'll say, because he's got that crazy dark sense of humor. But yeah, no, I absolutely love this, and hopefully we'll be seeing another one of these come down the pike soon. We'll see.
Awesome. Crossing my fingers.
Yeah, crossing. Yeah.
Let's talk about slashers and the kill scenes and both films. Is there a kill scene that you absolutely love? And is there one that you hate?
Chugs is my favorite. It's the bottle scene. Both like reading it was amazing, and then getting to shoot it was ridiculous because it was super. These crazy contraptions we had in our mouth with like little tubes that emptied the water. So we had like a half a bottle that was like cut out so she could put her teeth in around it. And then that was draining from the side, and it looked super real. It was like uncomfortable. Do you remember the shooting that?
Oh yeah,
It was super uncomfortable to watch.
Yeah,
It looked so bad.
Do you remember who the makeup designer was who did the head?
I want to say Gino something.
Yeah. Those are always the shooting of the kill scenes to me are just the most fun, and I will say still, of all the films I've made, that bottle down the throat is still my favorite. What about the toilet?
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah. So, yeah, I kind of took an opposite sort of point of view. I was trying to make a more suspenseful horror film with not that many killings. And after the first cut, we all looked at it and said, we got to add more. And so one of them was the one with Eileen getting the cane in her eye. And a lot of these pickup shots, we shot the film, as I said, in Maryland, but we did the pickup shots in the backyard of my parents' house in Beverly Hills. And what that meant was the next day, my mother had like a charity event there, and somebody started screaming because they found a half of a finger in the grass. So we had to add all these things, and the head in the toilet, that was my favorite because we didn't have a huge budget to do visual effects and even special effects on the set. So I knew I didn't think a fake head in a real toilet was going to work. So I decided, let's do a real head in a fake toilet. So we built the toilet and raised it up, and Robin Malloy got under it and put her head in there. And the best part of it was after we were done shooting, I got a picture of me with my head in the toilet smoking a cigar.
I love it.
That's awesome. For Leah, do you know how long that she was in the makeup? Like, how long did that shoot take for the bottle?
Oh, for the bottle for Chugs? We had a fake head built for her. So she had a totally fake head, and sometimes she would sit next to the head and like use her real hands to pretend like she was pouring the wine bottle in. But I mean, I know that a lot of people here love horror films, as we all are. But when you're on set for the kill scene, it's never scary. It's all about inches and centimeters and focal lengths and little tiny cut points and 6 frames here and 5 frames here.
But it was actually scary. For me, was that where you were going with that?
I've never been scared on set before.
You have a thicker skin than I do. Watching that happen was really unsettling. Like, none of the other kills, they're all funny to watch, actually. Like, it's deeply unscary to be on set. But we had a couple rigs. We had the head for her. So it went in stages. So the farther in it went, it was a different rig every time. But the one where it was like half a bottle and it drained and it was really her and she was like clawing at it, I was like deeply uncomfortable at the monitor watching it. It was really scary.
Yeah, it's sick.
If you could actually change that, because I feel like for Sorority Row, you have 3 final girls. And then for House and Sorority Row, I feel like you had a different idea on how you wanted that film to end. Can you talk
We
about
shot a different ending, which was yes, we did shoot a different ending, which never made it. It was after she closed her eyes, Kate McNeil. That's where the film ends now. It then cut to a overhead shot of the pool where all the bodies of the girls were, and there was a paramedic swimming in the water to turn over. There was floating there the killer who was wearing a Joker outfit, and we knew that was the killer because that was wearing that at the end. The paramedic turns the body over, and it's Kate. Oh, and they're all dead. And that's how I wanted to end it. And the distributor said, you can't do that. Sorry, you can't kill the final girl. So you got to have that final girl. So that's what happened.
I just really love that image, especially that Joker clown outfit. It's iconic, and to like turn it over and see her face instead of his. Glad I got to hear that, not see it. Is there anything that you would change for Sorority Row? Would you have wanted to let it be all three?
That was pretty deliberate from the very beginning. We wanted to do something that kind of bucked to the final girl, played with the final girl concept, and I think we wanted to sort of swerve out of the morality police that a lot of final girls in earlier horror movies have often been, the morally chaste ones or the ones that do the right thing. So we had three different sort of archetypes of girls that all survived, and I thought that was very cool. And it gave us a lot of sequel options. But yeah.
Yeah, and the funny thing for me when you're writing these kinds of films is that you want to kill the characters that you care about, because otherwise, what's the point? Like if you're just creating characters to be blood bags on film, it doesn't move the audience. So. But one thing I found with Sorority Row especially was the character that everyone liked the most was played by an actress named Leah Pipes. She was actually supposed to be here today, but is moving to Iceland. So she was scheduled to be here until yesterday, and then she called me up. She's like, "I'm sorry, Josh, I'm moving to Iceland, and I'm not coming back from New York." But what we found was that I mean, her death scene was great. She got the tire iron right in the face and stuck to the wall, and it was gruesome and gross. But I got angry emails, angry DMs. I usually once a week I'll open up my Instagram DMs and find people writing to me pissed off that Jessica died, and why can't we bring Jessica? Every time I mention a possibility of a sequel, bring Jessica back, bring Jessica back, bring Jessica back. So, but that's the great thing about making a horror movie. You want to kill the ones that you care about.
Kill the ones you love. With Jessica and with Vicky, they're both these badass bitches. They are straight bitches. Why do we love them so much? What is it about us and why we care? Is it, yeah, all of us, like, what is this?
Well, because there's such great gratification in seeing her get it. I mean, seeing the bad girl get her, her due. I actually snuck into the theater when it premiered in LA, Hollywood Boulevard. And I sat in the very back. And when Vicky got the cane through the eye, the whole theater erupted in massive cheers. Oh. And it was very gratifying for me. So, yeah, because people love to see the, justice.
You want to see the justice.
Yeah.
So yeah, just tell them in the emails for justice.
Exactly.
I do want to talk about what everybody is working on now. If you have any projects, anything coming up.
Mike, why don't we start with you? You haven't said anything in a minute.
Well, I would say a few more fun kind of background on this project. When Josh wrote it, he and his partner Pete were already really established, and they were getting hired by a lot of studios to write movies. But when they saw Mark's original movie, when I brought it up to Josh, he said, I have a take on this. I just write it on spec, which means he's committing 6 months of his life to, write it without any guarantee of ever making a sale. But he believed in it. He had a vision for it with his partner, and so he finished it. We worked on it for maybe a year, back and forth. And then there was a movie called Prom Night that was opening in a few months, and with Brittany Snow, actually. And I thought it was going to do well because there had been some other similar movies that were doing well. So we just kind of waited, and sure enough, it did open at 20 million that weekend, and we went out with a spec that Monday. And by the end of the week, it was a bit of a bidding war, and we sold it to Summit. But I remember thinking, we were going to have a better shot of selling it if we had waited for that movie, and so we did, and luckily it all worked out. But that was a fun little backstory of it. Josh and I have a few things cooking. The one that Josh wrote that he's going to direct, actually, but I'm sure you'll reveal it, so I'm not going to say anything more about it.
It's a film that I've been wanting to make forever called Red Wedding. And it's it's a fun, lots of twists and turns. But if you go to my socials, you'll see lots of cool artwork on it. And if you come over here afterward, we'll all be hanging out here. If you want to come grab a free poster or something like that, come on by, and we'll show that to you. But yeah, Mike and I are working on that, and another one that can't be named. What else are you working on outside of us? But I was actually just
a few. We have my company Gulfstream. We have we're always working on movies. The next one that starts shooting is going to be in New Orleans. It's with Kiernan Shipka, and it's a fun movie. It's about the woman you hire to break up with your boyfriend, girlfriend, or fiance because you don't have the guts to do it yourself. So it's a fun rom-com. Will be
Another horror film.
Yeah, comedy. I mean, Josh writes comedy and he writes horror, and he's great at both of them. Mark directs comedy and directs horror, and he's great at both of them. Stewart's been in both genres, and it might seem surprising on the surface, but it's really not, because both are about the setup and the payoff. How are you going to build the joke? How are you going to pay off the joke? How are you going to set up the scare? How are you going to pay off the scare? And it's the similar mechanics. It's just a different genre. And I remember Wes Craven telling me he always wanted to be a comedy director. He ended up being a horror director, but he felt it was the same skill set. It's just a different reaction from the audience. So I do a lot of comedy, I do a lot of romantic comedy. I love doing it, and hopefully I'll get to keep doing them.
Stewart?
I do episodic and commercials now. That's my bread and butter. There's some TV pitching happening, but everybody always says that, so we'll see what happens. But yeah, that's my deal.
What did you have a specialty in your commercials?
Car commercials. Yeah, I do storytelling in car. So like action car, stunty stuff. It's really fun. I get to fly around the world and drive shiny cars. Well, I don't drive them. I film them while they're being driven by smarter people. And it's a cool gig.
That's fun.
I'm still acting here and there. Got tired of the daily grind going into CBS all the time, so I'm kind of taking it on my own terms now. But I started writing about 10 years ago. I wrote for Penguin. I had some books come out called the Daytime Murder Mysteries, and they're about murder. And I've developed now, I've moved into writing slasher films. I have a movie that I've co-written called They Still Die, and it's been optioned, and I'm in the middle of rewrites. For no money, by the way, which is thankless. But, it's all for a good cause, so we're going at it.
That's awesome. I love it.
So after the house in Sorority Row, I kind of left the horror genre and went into family movies. Like I said, Cinderella Story and Life Size and Lizzie McGuire and The Perfect Man. And if you're a woman of a certain age, I've directed your childhood, I think. But I've now taken another turn. I'm actually making a very personal film that's based on what my family experienced with our daughter, who, as a teenager, kind of fell into drug addiction, and she's doing great now. She's 28 and 6 years substance-free, just got married. And thank you. So I wrote a movie called Keep Coming Back, which is very different from any other addiction-related films in that it doesn't focus on the so-called addict or the person with substance use disorder, but on the parents, and that they have to change. And that's the theme of the movie, that when the parents look at their own behavior and change, that can open a space for recovery. It's called Keep Coming Back. And on Monday, I drive off to Utah to shoot it. We shoot in 5 weeks.
Yes. That's awesome. I can't wait to see it.
Thank you.
And Chuck?
So yeah, I've got a few things happening. Really excited about. I've got when Saw got moved. I wrote Jigsaw and Spiral and Saw X, and then when the films got sent away from Lionsgate and went to Blumhouse, although Lionsgate is still a partial owner, I knew I wanted to do another film with Lionsgate, and we found this crazy story that I'm very, very excited about. The film is written, Nick Cassavetes is directing, and it's a crazy, violent action film in the kind of Like imagine The Equalizer meets Saw is basically the way we're looking at it. But it hasn't been announced in the trades yet, so I can't even say the title, but very, very, very excited about that. Hopefully, we're going to do Red Wedding later this year, which I'm very, very excited about. And then I've got this crazy podcast, and I would love it if you guys would stop by, grab a QR code for it with Darren Bousman. Darren Bousman directed Saw 2, Saw 3, Saw 4, and Spiral, Repo the Genetic Opera, a bunch of, well, you know,
The Devil's Carnival.
the Devil's Carnival.
The famous 11/11.
11/11/11. Anyway, we're doing a show together, a podcast for emerging filmmakers and horror lovers. It's called Darren and Josh Make a Movie, and we are dropping episodes every Tuesday on YouTube and on Apple Podcasts and all that kind of stuff, and it's taking the audience from the inception of a movie all the way to the red carpet. So we are about 2.5 months in now, and we've finally figured out our 1 or 2 films. The audience has been voting based on pitches that we've been delivering to the crowd. And I think we found our 2 horror movies that are in the main contention. But we're going to keep going. And really, so when we are casting, we'll bring on casting directors and talk about how that whole aspect works. When we are in pre-production, we'll bring on grips and gaffers and DPs and all of that stuff, and take the audience through the making of a movie from beginning to end, and then hopefully have a finished film to deliver to people. And it's going to be a really crazy hardcore horror movie.
That's great.
Amazing.
One thing I will say, that passion Josh has is infectious, and it comes out in his podcast. So if you have time, definitely check it out. It's fun to listen to. I will also say, because it was announced last week, but a movie we shot last year in Hungary called Ballerina Overdrive is coming out on Amazon early next year, and it's fantastic. It's great, super talented British director Vicky Jewson, and it's has a lot of elements. It's 5 ballerinas get stuck in Hungary and have to fight their way out of this hotel in a remote area that's owned and run by Uma Thurman. And the ballerinas, Maddie Ziegler, Lana Condor, Avantika, Iris Apatow, Millie Simons, and it's really fun. So when that comes out early next year, I check that out. Ballerina Overdrive on Amazon.
Sweet, love it.
Thank you all so much. You give me a lot of incredible things to look forward to. And you all are absolutely incredible. And having Sorority Row on stage, for me, seeing it as a young person, thank you so much for making this happen for me, being able to talk to you on the stage.
You got it. Should we take some?
I think we should take some questions.
Yes. While we're waiting for the first question, one fun story that I have about Carrie Fisher, because Stewart was talking about how she wouldn't recognize anyone. So she had a helper, an assistant that walked around with her on the set, and as you were approaching her, so you're walking toward her, and her assistant would kind of lean over and say, Josh Stolberg, the screenwriter, or, Stewart Hendler, the director, Mike Karz, the producer. And then she inevitably, in order to avoid feeling bad about this, she would kind of push him aside, say, I know who Josh is. But so that was how I first met her. But one of the really fun things is she's also, yes, she's Princess Leia, but she's also one of the greatest screenwriters. Postcards from the Edge and so being able to sit down with her and talk to her about story and all of those things was really, really special. But one of my favorite moments was we had been around each other for 3 weeks or 2 weeks. She was there for 2 weeks, I think. And we had been around each other, and I had been wanting to get a picture with her so bad, but felt a little embarrassed about getting a picture and asking. But I finally worked up the courage to say, hey, Carrie, can we take a picture together? And she was like, of course, of course. So she comes in next to me, and as they're setting up the camera, I say, oh my God, if a teenage version of me had seen this, he would completely die. And she was like, all right, let's give him something to really think about. And she leaned over and kissed me on the lips. And it was the coolest. It was just I felt like I had died and gone to heaven. Carrie Fisher had, so she was amazing though. Anyway, okay, so sorry.
Thank you for that story. That's amazing. Hi, so nice to see you all. Thank you for being here. I have a question for both Josh and Stewart. So, Ellie's character throughout Sorority Row, she was completely inconsolable about everything that was happening throughout most of the movie. And she was crying, she was scared, just full of fear. And then there's a moment where that completely goes out the window and she turns into this massive badass that is just like, fuck this, I'm gonna save everyone, let's go. Was that your choice as writer and director, or was that a character choice that she was like, hey, like, I'm gonna switch it up by the end? Or were there moments where she was like, this is who my character really is, but it's not gonna come through until later? Like, I think about that a lot when I watch the movie. It's one of my favorites. And I love that you said it was like a combination of Mean Girls and Scream. Those are my two favorite movies, which is why I love Sorority Row so much. So I was curious about that.
Stewart, you want to take that?
Yeah, I mean, that was deliberate, right? That was always in the script. And I think that Rumor really leaned into that in a super cool way, like getting to do that transformation from meek and, you know, freaked the fuck out the whole time. And the unexpectedness of her turn was amplified by that, I think. And it was really fun to watch her you should wield a shotgun. And I love that she sort of steps up into Carrie Fisher's shoes, into the house mother's shoes. She like learns what sisterhood is all about and stands up for it by the end. And I thought that was just super satisfying. Why did you rate that, Josh?
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. Oh, look, dude, your poster right there, man.
Wow.
Fucking badass. Oh my God, I've got one of those on my wall. That's really cool. That's really, really cool. You need to bring a by over there and he'll sign it for you. Yeah, no, I feel the exact same way. The Rumor character to me was really pivotal, and she's really annoying at the beginning, and you just feel like, fucking stop crying. Stop it. Just get your shit together. And then all of a sudden, she just turns, and that's what makes her fun. If she didn't have that turn, it wouldn't be fun. I mean, really, one of the only characters that doesn't really have a turn is Leah Pipes, who's just always a bad person, constantly, always makes the wrong decisions as far as her friendships go, and then she eats it in the end. Literally,
She's a great bad person.
She's a great
the
bad
best bad person.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Eileen, if you were offered the role of Carrie in Sorority Row, would you have taken it as a house mother?
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay, so I have a question regarding Sorority Row. Was the killer always who you had in mind to be the killer, or did it evolve over time while you were writing it? Like, did you know it was going to be the boyfriend, or did you have another idea that it kind of evolved from?
Yeah, you know, when you're developing a movie, a lot of times you throw all your characters on the table and talk about like why a certain character might make a good killer. I believe that he was always the killer in our film. And here's my biggest issue with the film, and it's not Stewart's fault, it's entirely my fault with Pete, is one of the things that I hate about horror movies, and we did it in this, is the exposition dump when the bad guy comes out. So we reveal who the bad guy is, and a good writer, unlike me, would have figured out how, as soon as that's revealed, the audience completely clicks in and says, oh, I understand why that's the killer. But what we had to do is do a big monologue explaining why he's the killer. That's one of the toughest things about writing a horror movie. But yeah, no, he was always the killer from day one.
Yeah, every draft. Yeah. And then Matt Lanter being sort of the red herring up till the very end. That was always in there too, right?
Yeah. The red herring was there always. Yeah. And the other kid too. What was his name? Matt O'Leary. Matt O'Leary. He also was a possible killer in it also.
But when we were developing it, we were going back and forth on supernatural, not supernatural, supernatural, not supernatural. That was really the discussion for the development cycle of it, and then you kind of settled on where we were.
Yeah. And also hiding the killer's identity is always an issue, which is why you always have a mask with, Scream or whatever. So we settled on the way that the graduation gown came about was Pete's brother. We were trying to figure out what's he wearing. And this was when we were writing the spec, so this was before anybody was involved. And we finally came about with the idea. It's the end of the school year, so graduation gowns. You'd have a lot of multiple graduation gowns around, lots of people wearing them. You could fake the audience out that way. And it was actually Pete's brother who suggested that one day. He was like, "Yeah, just put the hood over the graduation gown," and yeah.
Sorry, guys, me again. So, for the casting, did you already have people in mind that you wanted for, like, the main girls, the main cast, or did you just go through the audition process as you normally would, and it was just you picked the best people, or did you have that in mind already, like who you wanted?
Casting is such a tricky thing in studio movies because it's a Rubik's Cube of who is right for the role and who the studio will approve and who gets the marketing dollars behind them. So there were 10 million names floated. Brianna was always, I think, our favorite for what's Cassidy? For Cassidy. Leah Pipes was new. Like, we didn't know anything about Leah Pipes until she came in to audition for Jessica, and she just blew everybody's minds. And then, yeah, no, it was pretty much like finding the best people for the role. It wasn't like we were setting out.
Yeah, at the time though, Audrina was kind of hot. She was like the hot person, like in the same way that an influencer would be a hot person nowadays. So that was the one that I feel like was kind of decided by the studio.
Yeah, they wanted to kill somebody from reality television.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, all of the other characters, I feel like, I remember seeing all of their audition tapes.
I mean, Carrie was on the list from day one. She was just the dream. But the rest of the girls, no. It came together, and then people fall apart, and then the studio has terrible ideas, and it's a process.
And just like Stewart was saying, a lot of the casting is the Rubik's Cube part because you want different kinds of people on film. So a lot of it's about trying to figure out, all right, well, does this person mesh with this person? And even though this actress is a much better actress, she looks identical to the other person that you've already decided on. So a lot of it, there's a lot of pushing pieces around. Mark, how did you cast yours?
Yeah, I was just, I don't know, there you go. Yeah, I was just thinking of that. So on Sorority Row, they had some money to work with. We had no money. We were shooting, we had like $350,000, so we couldn't afford.
Well, you shot that on $350.
Yeah. And, so we basically had these big calls. I mean, Eileen, you were one of the more experienced actresses, I think. Is that right?
Was I? No, I think I'd really been doing a lot of like student films, and I did one feature. That was it. I was only 20.
Oh, the one feature. That was a lot more than the other girls. I mean, we just had the big calls. We literally would put an ad in the paper, and we would have what's poorly called a cattle call, where 300 young women were showing up in a big hall, and we had to get through them and try and beat everyone. And it was and we also did this in a lot of cities. We did it in LA, New York, Baltimore, and Washington D.C. in 4 cities. And we had somebody 3 weeks before shooting, the woman we had cast for the main role that Kate McNeil played, she was in the Screen Actors Guild, and we were not signatory to the Screen Actors Guild, and she was just going to do it anyway. But then 3 weeks before, she said, "Nah, I don't want to risk my membership there." So she pulled out. So we had to scramble and have another casting call in New York, and that's where I saw Kate McNeil. And some of them, light up the room as soon as they walk in. This one over here, absolutely. is like that, and it was an easy call. Some of them, it's a little harder, and you're bringing them back, and you're working with them a little bit. So and then the adults were very tough, because if you're an adult actor and you're not in the Screen Actors Guild, there's probably a reason for it. So we found some. So one of those actors, we had two. We had the doctor and we had the house mother. The house mother was a stage actress, and the doctor was a soap opera actor who was in Screen Actors Guild, and he just changed his name for the film.
I didn't even know that, by the way. I know that you somebody, didn't you?
Yes, the house mother, we replaced her voice in the final movie because she was actually a really good actress, but she had this kind of high voice. And I had a mentor of mine look at the film and go, she's not very scary. She looks really scary. So we had somebody replace her voice. And then the way we got the doctor father was the father of the gaffer, who's like an electrician on the film. It was his father-in-law. That's who it was.
How many days was it, Mark?
How many days? It was healthy for what, in comparison to now, it was probably about 25 days. Nowadays, they'll shoot a film like that in 10 days.
We stayed in a campground.
Yeah, we stayed in that. I lived in that house. I don't know if any of you saw the film, but I lived in that house, and you guys
Started a crazy campground that's where any horror movie should have been shot. I mean, and there was a lot of Sufi dancers there, or Sufi dancers all night long dancing, and it was very unusual.
They had things like, Sorority Row had things like trailers. We didn't have that.
But we have fun.
We did. We had plenty of that.
Excellent.
We shot ours in Pittsburgh.
One thing
We still had fun.
One thing I want to mention, if anyone's interested, that's here, for the film that I'm making with Darren and Josh make a movie. In 4 weeks, 4 weeks from today, Saturday. 4 weeks from today, I'm going to be. If you come visit the site and you want some blood pictures taken, we're doing the poster in this really cool way. I don't know if you've seen the mosaics where they take the little tiny pictures and make them look like when you pull back and you kind of see a different thing. Our poster for the movie is going to be all of the people that have been following the journey throughout the show, and we're doing blood pictures. I don't know if you go to my Twitter or in my Instagram, you'll see some. But I do these crazy ass photos of people completely and bloody and disgusting. But I'm going to be. We have a studio rented out, and if anybody reaches out and wants a blood picture done, you can come. I'll give you the address to the studio. You can come. We'll blood you up, and you'll be on the actual release poster for the movie that we're making. So that is definitely come on by if you're interested.
Hell yeah.
Hells to the yeah. I actually have a question for our director, Stewart. What was the visual inspiration behind the film? Did you take a lot of inspiration from the original, or did you pull from other sources as well?
The visual, no, we sort of jumped off of our own springboard on the visuals. And I think the early 2000s, a lot of sort of cool horror movies were coming out, like Strangers and stuff like that. And we wanted to make it we wanted to give the comedy some counterpoint and make it sort of feel real and raw. And so we leaned into this handheld vibe, and Ken Sang was the DP, who was awesome. And then there was the movie's tension to me was about kids behaving badly, kids who are supposed to be entering adulthood, behaving terribly. And so when adults are around, the camera's always on sticks or it's on the dolly. It's always very polished, and it's different film stock. And then when the kids are unsupervised, everything goes handheld, and the film stock got grittier and stuff like that. So we wanted to just kind of, play with that contrast.
Very cool. I noticed the handheld was a very unique look for the film. What kind of film stock did you use by chance?
Oh, geez, 15 years, man. 500T was definitely the handheld stuff. I don't remember. It was like a Kodak, 2 Kodak stocks. I don't remember what the other one was. I'll have to look it up.
But sir, you were early on that. You and Ken, the DP that Stewart chose was amazing. Ken Sang, and you were early on that shaky cam, tight you're right in the scene, Friday Night Lights, and
Yeah.
I don't know. I thought Stuart and Ken did such a great job with the look of the movie.
Yeah, so great that the studio made us stabilize a bunch of the shots.
Seriously?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Like 28 shots got stabilized.
Ken Sang, who's the DP, did what's the Ryan?
Daredevil.
No, but he also did the Ryan one, the superhero in Deadpool. Thank you, Deadpool. Thank you.
Yes.
You did Deadpool, right?
Yeah. Very.
And Stuart, I also remember in editing, you were doing your own effects in the computer. Yeah, you had some software and you added bubbles out of nowhere, and he was just
because we ran out of money.
technical. He just was ahead of it all technically. It was so cool to watch.
No, it's hilarious when you make a movie because they give you a set budget, which was I think 13 on this, and then you're in post and they're talking about how much they love it and how much they're going to spend on marketing it, and the marketing people are like, yeah, we're going to spend $27 million, and we're like, cool, we need like $2,000 more for a couple of visual effects. They're like, nope, there's none left. So like, what? So I just did them myself.
All right, everyone, if you would like to talk or you are too shy to ask your question, no worries. They're going to be at this table right over here.
Thank you.
Thank you again.
Everybody.
Oh, yes. There will be blood.
No, it's not creepy at all.
I run a house with 50 crazy bitches.
Taught them to survive.
This is real blood!
You're hallucinating.
It is real.
This is okay.
That girl really needs to learn to keep her mouth shut.
A man with each other.
That is disgusting.
Is that a fucking piranha?
They took my penis! They took my penis! Oh, I wish I hadn't seen that.
You haven't seen anything yet.
You want to play games, motherfucker?
Citrate comes in a little glass vial.
Hallelujah!
Darren and Josh make a movie.
Cut, Casper. That's a wrap.